Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is the Europa League preview. Manchester United facing Real Sociedad in the last 32, round 32 of the competition. Yeah. Joining me is my good friend. I think we've crossed the line from friends to good friends. I think so. You might not agree.
I think so, yeah.
Joe Smith. How are we doing, brother?
Good, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. I'm good. It's been a bit of a manic day, hasn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's all been happening. I've not even had time to sort of sit and think about the epicness of this game.
Well, I don't know, because we are unfortunately re-entering territory that I thought we'd left behind as Manchester United, where even the small games mean a lot because we ain't winning the big games. Do you know what I mean? And not that this is a small game, it's obviously a cup competition, but it's a one of two legs against a team that isn't one of the giants of Europe in a competition that isn't one of the biggest competitions in the world. But it now all of a sudden means a lot, because it's realistically, if we're being brutally honest, one of two chances to win a trophy we've got this year, this and the FA Cup. Obviously, the Premier League hasn't gone completely. There's a chance, City are 7 points ahead with a game in hand, but we've seen gaps like that quickly vanish before. I'm not ruling it out, but this is clearly one of our better chances. And it's not that easy either, because Sociedad are a good team, and what maybe seemed 2 months ago like, forget the Europa League, play the kids, do whatever, who cares what happens, to me now at least is, we want to win a trophy under Ole, and this is a good chance to do it. Yeah,
just on that point, about United's record in Europe, obviously, post-Fergie, the last 5 years, if we look at that, I mean, under Van Gaal, it wasn't great. Jose, obviously, we won the Europa, it was fantastic, yeah. Ole, we had that amazing night in Paris, but, Barcelona didn't put us in our place. Jose as well, in the Champions League, we had the result against Sevilla. Yeah. My point is, it's not been great, has it, in the last season, the semi-finals? It's not been great in Europe for us, has it, other than that one season with Jose?
No, and obviously this is no place to start disparaging Sir Alex Ferguson. But I would say, I think he has said this, or certainly alluded to it, that he wasn't even particularly happy with how many European Cups he won as United manager. So when in the last, 60 years, we've won 3 European trophies. Like, for a team the size of Manchester United, that's not that much.
In the last what, sorry?
No, 50 years?
Please tell me you count in the 1991 European Cup Winners' Cup, or me and you are not going to be good friends. We're not even going to be acquaintances. Okay. If you're
4, then. And the thing is, that's a lot more than most teams. Yeah. Obviously, you look around England, that's more than pretty much anyone, except maybe Liverpool. But I don't think it's necessarily a recent thing, is what I'm trying to say, that we used to be in the Champions League every season. We don't do that anymore. That's clearly worse.
Yeah.
But it's always hard to win European trophies. I don't know why. They just seem to be more difficult. And you might get, you might be able to win the FA Cup, or you might be able to win something else with a bit more regularity. But for some reason, it's just really difficult to win European trophies. So I'm not going to take it for granted. And that's why, we'll see with teams that we pick in a bit. I've gone with quite a strong team, because I just think we won't win it otherwise. It really is hard to win European trophies, no matter what competition you're in, no matter who your manager is. It's not easy.
No, you make a good point, and it always annoys me, because I am that guy, as we all know, that we won like 13 Premier League titles and 2 Champions Leagues, and during the same time almost, the Scousers won none. They've only ever won 1 Premier League, and during the Premier League era have won 2 Champions Leagues as well, which is just really frustrating. Yeah. But we digress. You're speaking about the need for a trophy and our teams, and we'll get into our starting 11s or our predicted 11 a little bit later on. But one player you've sort of spoken about and highlighted who could maybe use this as a bit of a platform to get his season going again, and also has a lot to offer, so he would be one of our better players if you were to start him, is Anthony Martial. Do you think that he's going to feature? And if he does, is this the sort of the chance for him to say to Ollie, listen, I'm not a spent force. I know that sounds ridiculous to say about a 25-year-old or whatever he is, but I've got you something to offer this season other than just, coming off the bench now and again.
Yeah, this has got to be that. I think with this season, unfortunately for him, we have to rule this off as a bad season for him.
Do you think we're already at that point?
I think we're at that point. He's got, 4 goals in the Premier League? Yeah. 6 goals in total. That just isn't good enough for what was Manchester United's number 9 at the start of the season. Number 9.
Makes sense.
First choice, number 9.
It does.
He got, I think, it was 24 goals in all competitions last season. His best ever return for United. This season is not going to match that, and therefore it isn't a great season. But what it has to focus on now is getting the right sort of goals, because he needs to keep scoring, or he needs to start scoring a bit more. He's never going to turn this around into a 25-goal season, but if he can turn it into a 12-goal season with a goal in this round, in that semi-final, in that semi-final, in that final, he can make this season something that isn't a complete disaster. because it's drifting towards that way for him, which no one wants to say. I don't want to say it. I don't like seeing it, but he has to turn this around to a certain extent. And like I said, we're not going to look back and go, bloody hell, Martial had a good year. That's not going to be the case. But if we can go, what an important goal, great performance in that game, really took us through, dragged us through that game. If he can do that in a handful of games between now and the end of the season, he can still turn this into a year where he can use it still as a bit of a springboard for next season rather than a complete dip in his career. Not that would be the end of the world for him either, but just, that's how things go, isn't it? So I expect him to play, and I expect him to put a case that he's going to be starting in all the cup competitions from now on, because I think, for me, what we've seen in the league in the last few weeks or the last few months is that Cavani's the number one choice over him at number 9, and Rashford's the number one choice for him on the left-hand side. So it's a big competition for Martial, this, because it's the difference between a terrible season and not the season we wanted.
He could always do a Teddy Sheringham style thing.
Exactly.
Remember Teddy Sheringham in 99? He only scored about 5 goals.
Yes.
But everyone remembers he scored in the FA Cup final and the Champions League final. Obviously, before anyone even bothers, he's not going to score in the Champions League final. But if he was to get goals that helps win us trophies, people actually might go, tell you what, Martial. Remember 2021 when Martial won us?
He scored important goals. It was an important season. Yeah. Exactly.
I'll take that. It's a great point. And I hope he does, because that would obviously mean a bit of silverware. Mm-hmm. And like yourself, I've not given up on Anthony Martial just yet. On the other end of the sort of the attacking spectrum is a young lad called Amad Diallo, who, again, we're mentioning him because I'm guessing you're going to pick him in your team. If you're not, then it's a bit embarrassing because I've not picked him in mine. But he's someone who's got us excited with his performance of the under-23. Me and that boy Ronaldo Brown spoke to Fabrizio Romano, who's raving about him and saying the Atalanta team were raving about him, and he felt Juventus had missed the trick in not getting him when United did. Yeah. United fans who've seen the under-23, seen some of the goals he scored, the skills he's got, are excited. Could this be a perfect chance for him to move into the first team and to showcase his talents?
Absolutely. And I think Ole loves the playbook of Sir Alex Ferguson, and one of the things Sir Alex used to do is he would take young lads on away European fixtures, sometimes not give them a game, sometimes they're just in the squad, sometimes they're just in the stands, but to give them that feeling of training with the first team, travelling with the first team, staying at the hotel overnight with the first team, the meals, the camaraderie, the sort of mentality that goes into we're all going to, in this case, Spain. I think that would be a good thing for him. And personally, I'd give him a go, because the right-hand side is something that we've struggled to fill, I'd say all season for close to a decade. Since Nani left, we've not had an obvious right winger. So it's a space that is absolutely open for the taking if he wants it. And I think that this would be the perfect platform to play him on. Personally, I've gone with quite a strong squad, and I've seen the team you've gone for, and it is a little bit weaker than mine. But I do think there's still some room to play with in terms of the personnel and giving people a rest and that sort of thing, because no matter what, top 4 and hopefully pushing for the title is the main goal this season. But it's finding the balance between giving players who need a game, giving players who need a rest, while still playing a strong squad. Hopefully Ole can find that balance, but I hope that Diallo can be part of that. His composure, one of the things he does that no one else in our front line does at the moment. When he gets the ball, Bruno does it a little bit. When he gets the ball, he's looking at who else can score. And obviously you want someone to be selfish, but his passing ability and his vision looks sensational from the clips I've seen of him, from the full games I've seen of him in the under-23s. He looks up, and his composure, his weight of pass, his timing of passing is exceptional, and something that I don't think anyone else in that forward line of ours has, except maybe Juan Mata.
No, I agree. And it's just, you talking about it, then it's just making me think, like, is this a player I'm dying to see in the first team, and hopefully he can have the career. You mentioned there about the starting 11s, predicted 11s. Now, you do it differently, don't you? You always confuse me with this, because you do the 11 you want to see. Yeah. So we'll start with you, and there's the two differences in our teams. Mine's a predicted, who I think Ollie will pick. Josie's who he wants to see. And you know what, that's all right. Variety of balance, isn't it? A bit of balance, bit of yin and yang. So go on, run us through your team. Who have you got for us?
So, as you see, they've got Henderson, Williams, Bailly, Maguire, and Tellez. Again, I say again, it's because we've said this for 18 months now. When Maguire's fit, he basically plays every game, and Ollie said as much last season. I know he got rested a few weeks ago, but generally speaking, Harry Maguire plays every match. Eric Bailly, it was a toss-up between him and Tuanzebe because I think Lindelof is apparently still suffering from a back injury, I believe. And, carrying their West Brom striker the other day probably isn't going to help him. But Eric Bailly, I think he deserves a game if he's fit. It seems as though he probably is fit. I would start him. He was excellent the last few games he played. Obviously, injuries are a big problem for him. Tellez again, give Shaw a rest. Tellez is good, gets the ball in the box well. And then I've got Matic and Van der Beek, who I think... Matic, for me, is our best defensive midfielder, and he still is. When he's on form, the problem with Matic is you don't always get 100% Matic, which sounds like some sort of Hoover-like slogan. And remember,
Matic.
100% Matic.
Sometimes you need...
Yeah. When 99% just isn't enough.
You need 100% message.
Yeah, so 100% Matic. I think he's our best defensive midfielder when he's fit, when he's on form. I think he does... Positionally, he's better than anyone we've got by a mile. I think he's a better passer of the ball than any of the other defensive midfielders we've got. I think he's more press resistant than any of the other defensive midfielders we've got because he dribbles well and he's got a great composure on the ball. The only problem is he's not very quick and he gets a bit leggy.
He knows he's without, and I don't mean this to sound like a criticism. It's actually, I mean it as a compliment. He knows his role as well and his limitations, perhaps, whilst other midfielders don't always know that. They seem to think that they're in the team to shoot from 30 yards out or, to play 90-yard passes that don't always come off, where Matic keeps it simple. And I mean that as when you need that. You need a player that's going to do that. And I think that he's more of a natural DM than some of the other ones that we fit in there, where, we'll see them sort of trying things that don't often work and it can be a bit frustrating. So, no, I like it. And go on.
In front of them, I've gone Fernandes. Again, he's our best player. I would play him. He had a bit of a rest the other day. Admittedly, had to come on against West Ham, I think, wasn't it? So, but he's our best player, and I've given Rashford a rest, as you can see. So, to me, Ollie will never not play both of them at once, or not play either of them at once. It's either Rashford or Bruno getting a rest, not both. And then I've gone with Diallo, who, again, I would just love to see him playing. He also was in the squad, wasn't he, against West Ham? And I just think. Get him on. Just give him a go. But the problem is, you feel a bit bad because he's the new signing. You think just get him on, give him a go. Well, Hugill's got like ludicrous numbers of goals, and you're like, play Marshall instead. It's like just Diallo's this new shiny thing, and I get that, but he also fills a role in the squad that we don't have anyone else that can do that. Yeah. And then Dan James on the left. I like Dan James. He played a lot of games last season. I don't know if he's going to be around for 10 more years at United, but I think in this sort of game, where you're away from home, we might be sitting back a bit more. His pace, his directness could cause them problems. And for a similar reason, I've gone with Anthony Martial as well, who in this sort of game, even though it's away from home, even though they're only 5th in La Liga, I think we will have probably less possession than them, especially if we do play a rotated side. And I think Martial is a better striker on the counter-attack than Cavani. And again, like we said before, it's a chance for him to start building up some important, impactful performances in a competition that could provide us with a trophy.
Yeah, I like it. It's a strong team. You look at that team, there's a lot of quality there. Be good to see Donny van der Beek get a start as well. And I've said this along, and it might sound a little bit sort of contradictory almost, because if you look at how we've struggled a little bit recently, but we have a squad. And for the first time in a long time, usually when United play and you look at the bench, you think there's options there on the bench. We've got, real quality there, and you've seen it now because Van der Beek doesn't usually start, Matic doesn't always start.
You go through that whole team,
Henderson's a quality
Tellez
keeper.
Isn't the first team starter, neither is Williams, neither is Bailly, neither is Henderson, Matic, Van der Beek, James, Diallo, and you could say now Martial. Like there's one player basically in that team, or two, Maguire and Fernandes, who are our first choice starters for sure. Other than that, that's a hugely rotated squad, and there's some great quality in there still, 100%. Which is great to say.
Yeah, not seen that for a little while. This certainly isn't an Astana away type squad where I think it was just a load of children and Lee Grant and Jesse Lingard. I don't know if you remember that one. I'll go to my team. There's quite a lot of similarities to mine. I've mixed it up a bit. This is who I think Ollie will go for. Back 4, back 5 is almost the same as yours, but I've gone with Tuanzebe and Bailly. I get what you're saying about Maguire. But I just think that maybe Ollie might look at this and go, right, if there's one game I do rest him for, it's this one, because obviously FA Cup, you're in a long way near the end of it. You look at the league, you're not going to ever rest him for that. He might look at it that way. That's the only reason I thought of it. I've gone with McTominay and Matic. I know Maka was going mad at me when I said this the other week, but out of those two, somebody likes to get forward. Like, he's got 7 goals on it this season.
Yeah.
He does like to get forward, and for the reasons we've said about Nemanja Matic, a lot more discipline, will often sit in front of the defence a little bit more. And Real Sociedad, this isn't just a bye. You just said the 5th in the Liga. They're a decent team. So you can't just go, we can just play anyone and we'll be okay. It's not like that. And we've seen in the past when Manchester United rest too many players, it usually blows up in our face.
And even in that Stanley game you mentioned, I know we were through, but we lost that game.
Yeah.
Or we drew that. We didn't win it.
Yeah,
did we?
I think we
lost.
I remember we went ahead. I think we did lose. Yeah, Jesse scored, didn't he? But we lost. I've gone for behind the striker. I've gone with Rashford. I think there's always. You make a good point about Fernandes and Rashford. That one of those two always to start. You've zigged, I've zagged. Yeah. Basically, I was with you. I was like, he's not going to drop both of them because, like I said, you have to pick a strong team, and I don't think Ollie would rest. You certainly don't see him resting Maguire, Fernandes, and Marcus Rashford. No. I think that'd be a bit too much for him. So I've gone with Rashford, Van der Beek. I've got him a bit further forward. I know he can play deeper, but I'd be tempted to push him up a little bit with the pitch. I think Ollie would be tempted to see what he can do nearer to the business end of the pitch. Dan James, I've gone with him on the right, but you had him, I think, on the left. Up top, I've gone with Anthony Martial as well, and for the reasons that we spoke about earlier, I want to see him get amongst the goals. I want to see him performing. I think as well, Edinson Cavani is our first choice. I don't think he is, our first choice number 9, and I don't see him playing every game, especially playing Thursday, Sunday, or whatever. So for that reason, I've gone with Anthony Martial. Looking at Real Sociedad, this is a neutral ground, but it's not all. Yeah. That's I don't really know what that means anymore. To be honest with you, the fact there's no fans there, but they are a useful team, 5th in the Liga, and they've got someone we know, haven't they?
Well, they've got a couple, haven't they? They've got Januzaj and David Silva.
Oh, sorry, the reason I was looking like this because I was talking about David Silva. You can forget Adnan. Do you remember that Januzaj chant? And now you've got it in your head, haven't
you? David Silva, though, he's a good player, and he'll have a point to prove leaving City. Clearly one of their best players of the last decade, one of their best players in their history, let's be honest. Certainly one of the most important. And he's still a good player, and they're doing well. Like I said, they're 5th in La Liga, and here's the problem. Even if they were 12th in La Liga, I wouldn't be confident because we are shocking against Spanish teams. Like almost always shocking, or we struggle. Like obviously the Real Madrid games I can think of two this century that we've lost, which is more than most.
Sevilla
twice,
Champions League and Europa. Yeah. Barcelona absolutely
Atletico Bilbao.
Well done. Yeah, that was a footballing lesson, wasn't it, with the likes of Herrera and Higuain, was it? And all those players. Barcelona, I know that Barcelona are great, but they've been absolutely, other than 2008 and 1991, they've been the scourge of us.
Yeah. So you look back and our record against Spanish teams isn't great. And again, what was it? We comfortably come up with half a dozen examples there since the 2000 that we've lost to Spanish teams. And I don't know whether it's Spanish teams or some of those happen to be great teams, but the likes of Bilbao and Sevilla twice, they weren't great teams. They were good teams, but the Bilbao one, we just got destroyed against them. And that was, anyway, just shit. But the fact that it's that difficult for some reason, I don't know whether it's the style of play. I think what it used to be a lot is
Barcelona style of play.
The emphasis on midfielders in Spanish teams, and they sort of quick play in midfield and then quick breaks through the attackers. And United's midfield was historically quite weak, I would say. But over the last sort of 10 years up until recently, we've got good attackers, decent defenders, and not that much going on in between. Hopefully now United's midfield, you've gone with quite a robust one. I've gone one with plenty of legs with Van der Beek in there. Hopefully it can be a bit different, but it's going to be a tough game. A tough tie, definitely.
No, I agree with that. I think that, like you say, historically against Spanish teams, we haven't done well. Sociedad doing relatively well in La Liga, and I've got some real quality there. And also, if we are going to have to rotate and not play our strongest possible team, then it could be a difficult evening. But, we hope. We hope, more than hope, we expect, Joe, what score do you think it's going to be? And don't lie to me.
I think it'll be really tough. I'm going to go 1-1. I think we're going to have to win in Old Trafford to go through.
That's an interesting statement. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but I'm going to go 2-0.
2-0.
Yeah.
Love that.
I think, do you know what I mean?
Clean sheet.
Clean sheet.
We have loads of them, us.
Martial back amongst the goals. And, Donny van der Beek getting one as well. That's about that. We'll settle for that. Let us know in the comments whether you agree with myself or Joe, whether United are going to struggle, whether you think it's going to be a win, what you think he's going to do team-wise. Is he going to go with a strong team, or is he going to rest a lot of players? And how important do you feel the Europa League is? Joe, thanks for joining me. Where can people find you?
Joe Smith 93 on Twitter and Instagram.
Started posting and tweeting a lot now, haven't you, recently? Started getting a bit more involved.
Social media, get in there.
Stop being as rude as you were to me when I used to tweet and you didn't reply to me. Bit rude, but you sorted your life out.
Didn't happen. Just deny it.
I've been Jay, that's been Joe. This has been the Stretford Paddock Europa League preview. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.